of how to go forward with the city's services, either public services or franchise out. Through the RFP process, I think the recommendations and conclusions the staff has said we think it's in the city's best interest to go ahead and franchise out for those services. Kind of walk you through some of those reasons and sort of the results of the negotiation process. First, comparing where you are now to where your proposed services would be, it's a little higher level services. A lot of the services are going to be the same, but there are some things that will be different. CR&R has proposed to go to mixed waste residential recycling program starting in April of next year, which means that the residents would have a separate can for the organics, the green waste, and a separate can for the mixed recyclables and trash. It's in one container there. So instead of 3 containers, there's going to be 2 containers. The benefits of that is the residents don't have to worry about contamination, either contaminating the recyclables or overflowing the garbage. And as well as it reduces the number of trucks on the city streets from 3 per week to 2 per week. So there's a reduction in the fleets, a little easier to work. In terms of diversion, it's also shown that that's a higher diversion program than the standard 3-part systems have been recently. On-call bulky waste system, which I think your residents are going to like tremendously. Right now you have 1 bulky waste that's done on a scheduled basis. It's basically right after Christmas holidays. For this year, CR&R will continue that program. Starting in 2012, they are going to be doing an on-call bulky waste where your residents can call up at any time, twice a year, to have the bulky waste picked up at their house. So it's a very convenient program. There's no additional cost to that. Where that's been done elsewhere, it's really helped with illegal dumping as well, because it's convenient for them, it gets done, and it doesn't cost them anything. On-call household hazardous waste collection is a new program right now. If they have household hazardous waste, which is basically paint, batteries, pesticides, that type of thing, they have to take to the county facilities. With the new services, they would call up and have it scheduled to be picked up. It is not a free service, that is a paid service. What we also negotiated in there is a pharmaceuticals program where they would also be doing an on-call pharmaceuticals take-back program. It's a very good program. Commercial businesses would continue with recycling that they would have now, and they'd be beefed up quite a bit. There also would be offered food waste and green waste. That's really important because what happened a couple days ago, Governor Brown signed AB 341, which is kind of augmenting the recycling laws in the state. It does a couple of things. The regulations aren't done yet, but what it also does is it requires your businesses and your multifamily complexes to actually subscribe and take recycling services. So right now, you have to pass an ordinance that offers that service. The new law goes several steps further. It says they have to take the service. So your new contract puts that in place. It also changes it looks like it's going to be changing the state diversion requirements from the current 50% to 70%. So there's going to be more diversion coming down the pipe. This contract will set you in very good motion to be able to comply without a change in law. More cart sizes, particularly on the residential side, they can downsize from the 64 to 32 gallon cart size. If they do, their bill will be a little lower. New carts will be rolled out next year as well. The containers that the commercial customers have, those are all going to be pulled back in, refurbished, and replaced where they need to be. Same thing with the street sweeping vehicles. The refuse vehicles will also be pulled and replaced with CNG vehicles as they're phased out. A couple of really important things as you move forward is they are going to provide a full-time dedicated recycling coordinator to the city. That person's job is only to work recycling waste diversion activities in the city. Very, very good position to have. They also offered up, the city agreed to, the staff agreed to, that they would pay for a full-time compliance officer to actually monitor the contract, monitor code compliance, illegal dumping, scavenging, those type of things. So it would be a paid position that they're going to be paying for throughout the contract term. State-of-the-art website where it's interactive. You can go online, look at your bill, look at your data collection, look at your other services. You can pay online as well. And again, new clean air vehicles to comply with all the South Coast air quality requirements. A little bit more on the mixed waste recyclables program. It is a change in the current program. It's going from the 3-part program you have now to a 2-part program. We think it's going to help with your contamination levels in terms of higher diversion, ease for your residents to know that they put out every week. They put out their green waste can, their yard waste, and they put out their mixed recyclables, mixed materials can. That's it. Every week, the same program. So they don't have to think which is it. Do I put out the recyclables this week or is it next week? Every week it goes out. bulky waste, again, instead of the once per year scheduled citywide, it's twice per year on call. They can set out as they need to, and it's a free service. It's a very good program. The HHW, it's where other communities have adopted this. It has helped. One is convenience factor, but it's also helped with some of the illegal dumping and having materials show up where it's not supposed to show up, because the HHW materials cannot go in the garbage. It's illegal to put it in there. They have to take it to the drop-off site or elsewhere. This program would allow them to continue using the county program if they want, but it would also allow them, at their cost, to call up and have a pickup at their house. For commercial services, they do get a organics, full organics program, food waste and green waste, which is a very good way for your restaurants to potentially lower their bill. They can subscribe to the organics program, the food waste program, which is a lower cost than the garbage. They can reduce the volume of garbage they have. So it's sort of a trade-off. So there'd be some your account base that you have now in terms of the mix of accounts will be different a year from now than it is today. So they'll be moving around on that. The main one here is your old service residents. They really had two size garbage carts, 64 and 96 gallon. With the new services, they're going to have a 32 gallon, which is a smaller cart. Some families are going to be able to use that, some are not. But it is a program that they can reduce their garbage cart size, or mixed recyclables cart size. Their bill will go down. It's a lower service rate for that service. More of a standard on the roll-off boxes. Pretty much the standard in the industry is 10, 20s, 30s, and 40s. So that's going to be more standardized size. And then they're going to get new carts and bins upon a replacement schedule. If the cart breaks, call up and it's replaced. The bin needs to be repaired, they call up and it's repaired basically the same day. The street sweeping, they're going to be taking over the street sweeping services. They are going to be replacing the vehicles that the sweepers now with CNG vehicles. You have to, by law, to do that. As well as the collection vehicles. I think you have 5 or 6 CNG vehicles. 5. CNG?
Right now,
you have 5 that need to be replaced. They would be replacing those with CNG vehicles. The CNG vehicles that you have now, you bought this through a grant. They have to stay in service through the end of next year. And on the vehicles, as the new ones are replaced, they will be outfitted with the GPS systems on them, so the onboard systems to track the accounts and track the location of the accounts. They're not going to be retrofitted in the older vehicles because it's really not a good use of the money to retrofit old vehicles and be retired. The outreach, full-time recycling coordinator, they're going to be doing annual collection notices. The website, everything's going to be online. They'll be doing 4 annual outreach campaigns per year to focus on recycling, green waste, birthday events, those type of things. So we work with the city staff to coordinate that. Public service announcements, the city can use their services for billing stuffers. And they'll be, throughout the implementation of this, they'll be conducting a series of community workshops to let the residents and the businesses know what's happening, what's different, what's new, how to change your services. A little bit on the implementation schedule and on a big picture. The start date that's projected to be right now is December 1st. This is approved tonight. The mixed materials recycling will be rolled out starting April 1st of next year. Cart and bin replacement will be next year and finished up by July, as well as the vehicles. And the reason that the carts and bins are stretched out that long, it's about 6 months to get the materials. They just can't get the vehicles, can't get the carts. The ordering process has to take this down. One of the goals of the RFP process was not to have a rate impact on your customers. I think we've successfully been able to do that. Your rates will not go up. Okay? Your customer service rates will not go up. There's some other services that are going to be added, but the basic services that you're being provided will not go up. The 64-gallon rate stays the same. The 96-gallon rate stays the same. There's a lower rate for a 32-gallon rate. And the same on the commercial, the bin sizes. The rates did not change. It stayed exactly where they are now. And I don't believe you've increased them since 1996. It's been a long time since we've had an increase. A couple of things that are different. Some are lower, some are just different. 30-yard boxes are a little bit lower with CR&R than your current boxes. The standby charge, is if the driver is picking up a commercial bin, they cannot make the collection. If there's something blocking it, you have to just sit and wait. It's a lower fee that CR&R charges than you charge now. Recycling roll-off boxes are a little bit lower. The extra bulky waste, it's for anything over 2 collections of bulky waste is $25 per occurrence. First 2 or 3. Right now, anything over the 1 per year citywide is $37 per occurrence. The compactor services are a little bit lower across the board, so some customers will actually maybe see a rate decrease. A little bit of comparison on services. Your billing structure and the new structure, the numbers are the same, but they're called a little bit differently. What they're calling a large residential cart is a 96-gallon cart. What you're calling is a standard is a 64, so on. So if you look at the billing structure, you lay it out. The rates are the same, they're labeled differently. We just wanted to point that out. We haven't changed anything. We've just labeled it to what really is more of the industry standard rates. One thing to note on that, there's some questions regarding disability rates. For those customers that are on disability service that receive backyard collection, right now you do not charge for that additional backyard service. That will continue with this contract. So if it's disability, customer disability, and they receive backyard collection, there's no additional charge for that. Okay. In terms of future rate increases, no rate increase for the first year. The future rate increase there is 15% next, actually January 1st, 2013, and then CPI after that. This is really, really important. The only rate increase mechanism after the first 5% is CPI, nothing else. There's no pass-through for landfill going up. There is no extraordinary provisions in the contract. The only increases they will be able to be eligible for is a CPI rate increase. That's a very strong protection. It's one of the items that took a little bit longer to negotiate. Some other city benefits are financial. I think it's in your staff report. Insurance, lower liability, because you're really shifting your liability from yourselves and your ratepayers to your franchised hauler. They're on the hook for the air quality requirements. They're on the hook for any pass-through costs from landfills. They're on the hook for increased fuel costs. You're not. They are. And more importantly, your customers aren't either because it's tied to CPI. You cannot come in for an extraordinary rate increase because fuel went up. And you just have to live with it. You don't have to put out the capital replacement, which is estimated about $12 to $13 million to replace your current, your vehicles need to be replaced in containers. You have a code compliance officer, neighborhood watch program. There is a 5% local purchase preference in the contract, which mirrors your current city ordinance and policy. So if tires are being bought here locally and within the 5%, they will buy them locally. They're required to buy the contract. They also are going to provide that information to you on an annual basis of what do they buy locally. So you'll be able to have that track back and see what exactly happened. They will provide the services for all your city-sponsored events, including some backyard composting and some composting take back to the city. They'll deliver finished compost products to you, and they will be doing all the collection services from all the city facilities. In terms of insurance, pretty hefty insurance tag, $20 million aggregate liability and $3 million per occurrence. We did put in kind of a standard that's down in Southern California for pollution and environmental impairment liability of $5 million. Performance bond, it starts at $2 million and it drops to $1.5 and $1 million from year 3 and thereafter. That's a pretty darn high performance bond. It really is. And then there's a series of liquidated damages that are really done at the administrative level if they do something wrong. What you don't want to do is put them in default to the contract. There are better ways to gently remind them of doing something wrong, which is the liquidated damages. The dollar amounts aren't huge. It's $150 to $500. They're not huge amounts, but the importance of liquidated damages is it's assessed, and when this contractor would apply for a new contract elsewhere, they have to disclose that. So it's really the concept of the liquidated damages is a very strong contract enforcement provision. Diversion requirements. It's 50% by December 31st of 2012, and it jumps to 55% by 2016, and that's tons that they collect. Every ton they collect, they have to divert 50 to 55%. I think your current diversion is in about the 30% range. So when we're looking at the numbers to comply with the 70% requirement, you're over 50% now in your current services. Your city services are doing some, and there's some private recycling going on. By increasing it to 55%, you're going to be in very good shape to comply with any future diversion standards without having to change your programs. It's really a key issue, not having to add more cost, more burden to anything. Reporting requirements, obviously they have to do all the reporting required under the California AB 39 and 939. The CERCLA, the RCLA, they do this on a monthly basis. They're going to be doing monthly initially to start. They'll go to quarterly and then annually as well. So you're going to have, unfortunately, some paperwork to go through just to be able to monitor their contract. And then if there's any questions on default, I think Eric can address that better than I can. And one biggie is no extraordinary rate increases are allowed in the contract. You just cannot come back in and say, we need more money. And we need to lock the door because I think they may run out on us. But payments to the city, sort of a summary, big picture. What was the final negotiated was $25 million payment to franchise out the services. That's paid $12.5 million at contract execution, and $12.5 million spread out over the contract term. One time of $340,000 for the transition, which is the staff time and whatnot involved in getting this process done. An equipment payout, which was the book value of your solid waste collection fleet, which is basically an accounting book value of that. They've agreed to pay an additional $88,000 per year for the code compliance officer. And then the ongoing franchise payments amount to about $65 million over the term. They started at 2.7 and they escalate up. For the transition, community workshops and the new services, because residents will be able to change services. They may want to put a larger cart, they want to put a smaller cart. They're going to have that opportunity. And typically what's happens is they send out a self-addressed postage card and show up, hey, this is what you have now, these are your options, what do you want to do. And what we see is there's initially some change around and then kind of settles down. It's about 6 months to really kind of stabilizes where everybody's pretty comfortable with the cart sizes. How-to on the bulky waste, recyclables, organics, and then letter from the mayor. Another item that was negotiated in was you do have 6 employees, and we felt it was pretty important to take care of them. And what was agreed upon is they will offer employment to all your qualified employees. They will take them over at their current seniorities and current hourly salary rates. Okay, so if they're making X dollars, they're going to make X dollars. Okay, they have a guaranteed 6 months of compensation. They have a severance policy of a month after 6 months. If there's a layoff or something, they would get additional 1 month severance. When we checked references on both companies that submitted, one thing we found that was very promising is in the vast majority of the employees that they acquired through takeovers and mergers and acquisitions have stayed where they are. They stayed with the new company. They have not left. They need the drivers. They need the employees. They are provided medical, dental, and healthcare 401k policies. CR&R also offered up a $1,000 retention bonus for those that come over. So we thought overall it's a pretty good package. And with that, that's our recommendation is to go ahead and enter into the agreement with CR&R Incorporated with the start date of December 1st.
Mayor, at this time, what we'd like to do is have CR&R make their brief presentation. We have a brief PowerPoint.